You know these DJI Pocket Osmo cameras, the ones that all the vloggers seem to use nowadays, the ones that have the little gimbal on top that is motion controlled? What if I told you the technology used to make this camera is the same technology that was invented when making the original Star Wars film? To explain this, I need to give you guys an idea of how VFX worked in the 1970s. You see, there was no such thing as CGI. Instead, they used miniatures. And if you wanted multiple miniatures in one VFX shot, you had to shoot them individually and then line them up in post to get the final VFX shot. This came with one big limitation. You couldn't really do motion with VFX shots. Because you need the film to line up properly, you couldn't really move the camera because it wouldn't line up, and then you would have this terrible VFX shot where your miniatures are just completely out of line. That's why when you watch a movie like 2001: A Space Odyssey, the space scenes are kind of still, and the spaceships move very slowly because without motion, you can't really tell how fast they're moving. But that's not what George Lucas wanted for Star Wars. He wanted his starfighters to fly through space like jets. And in order to do that, he needed motion. Then came along John Dykstra, the VFX supervisor for the original Star Wars films. In a previous film, he was able to use a camera that was controlled by a computer.
In the early 1970s, Dykstra took a leave of absence from Hollywood.
I was working with Doug Trumbull, and the opportunity came to work for this group called the Institute of Urban and Regional Development in Berkeley.
The Institute sought to simulate urban traffic patterns on a miniature scale. A model of Marin County, California was constructed, and a camera fitted with a small periscope-like device called a snorkel lens was moved through the streets simulating the viewpoint of a car. The moves were programmed into a computer, which operated motors on a camera motion rig. It was a tedious process, for the system could only move very slowly, limited by the simple computers of the time. But Dykstra's motion control cityscape became the foundation for the next giant leap in motion control photography.
John Dykstra would develop a camera with the help of Al Miller and Jerry Jeffress, a camera that could roll, pan, tilt, swing, boom, traverse, track, lens focus, motor drive, and shutter control, and could repeat it again and again and again, which was perfect because in post-production, they could take the shots with motion, line them up, and they would be aligned, which would solve one of the biggest limitations with VFX shots back in the day.
He and his compatriots at George Lucas's fledgling Industrial Light and Magic used motion-controlled computers to operate the camera for the filming of miniature spacecraft and planets.
We mounted the camera in a way that allowed us to add motion, and I think really that was the key difference between Star Wars and its visual effects and its forebears, was that the camera constantly moved.
It was a very crazy group trying to do something that had never been done before.
John Dykstra would name the camera after himself, calling it the Dykstraflex, which is a pretty cool flex. You see what I did there?
Special effects in general is one non-stop continuous test, because you always have to rely on some other trick that you pull out of your sleeve to solve some ridiculous problem of some kind, and you just test it till you get it.
John Dykstra and the VFX team for Star Wars would win an Academy Award for their work on the film. And because of their work, we now have these motion-controlled cameras at our fingertips, which is really cool.
My personal feeling about where this technology and the use of this technology leads is to the ultimate opportunity to tell stories yourself. I mean, I tell a part of a story now, and films will always be a group of people telling a story, and I'd like to try some of the other parts or the arts of the storytelling. I think it's going to be a contributing factor to the telling of stories which expand into what the reality of tomorrow is going to be. And it's not space necessarily, but it certainly is a broader-minded point of view about what you can do.